Okay, so the Impersonal Life, um, this was penned by Joseph S. Benner, Benner. I may have commented on this book before. I am reading it again, actually reading it and listening to it. And something in here, as I was listening today, has struck me that I need to make some comments on, and I will read from the text. It says, "Yes, I have been within always. Deep within your heart, I have been with you through all, through your joys and heartaches, your successes and mistakes, through your evil doing, your shame, your crimes against your brother and against God as you thought. Whether you went straight ahead or straight aside or stepped backward, it was I who caused you so to do. It was I who urged you on by the glimpse of me in the dim distance I permitted." I'm going to pause right here. It was I who lured you aside by a vision of me in some bewitching face or beautiful body or intoxicating pleasure or overpowering ambition. It was I who appeared before you in the garb of sin or weakness or greed or sophistry and drove you back into the cold arms of conscience, leaving you to struggle in its shadowy grasp until you awakened to its impotency, rose up in disgust, and in the inspiration of the new vision, tore off my mask. I'm just going to interject some things here in the text. Certain words are capitalized for emphasis, to differentiate between my as in the small self my, or my as in God my, okay, or self small s capital S. Okay, and I'm going on now. Yes, it is I who caused you to do all things. And if you can see it, it is I who do all things that you do, and all things that your brother does. For that in you and in him which is I myself. For I am life. I am that which animates your body, which causes your mind to think, your heart to beat. I am that which attracts to you pain or pleasure, be it of the flesh, the intellect, or the emotions. I am the innermost, the spirit, the animating cause of your being, of all life, of all living things, both visible and invisible. And there is nothing dead, for I, the impersonal one, am all that there is. I am infinite and wholly unconfined. The universe is my body. All intelligence there is emanates from my mind. I'm going to read that one again. All intelligence there is emanates from my mind. All the love there is flows from my heart. All the power there is but my will in action. The threefold force manifesting as all wisdom, all love, all power, or if you will, as light, heat, and energy, that which holds together all forms and is back of and in all expressions and phases of life. Be those phases creative, cohesive, or destructive, is but the manifestation of myself in the act or state of being. Nothing can be without manifesting and expressing some phase of me, who am not only the builder of all forms, but the dweller in each. In the heart of each I dwell, in the heart of the human, in the heart of the animal, in the heart of the flower, in the heart of the stone. In the heart of each I live and move and have my being. And from out the heart of each I send forth that phase of me I desire to express, and which manifests in the outer world as a stone, a flower, an animal, a man. Is there nothing then but this great I? Am I to be permitted no individuality for myself? I hear you ask. I'm going to pause right here for just a minute. Okay. I had to say a little prayer there because there is a message that wants to come through pertaining to this information. There has been much misunderstanding. There has been much confusion surrounding the idea that God is in all things. The message that wants to come through is pertaining to this. When we say God is in all things, we must understand that there is nothing outside of God. All things that exist within God. Even the dream, even the illusion exists within God. There is nothing that is outside of God. Nothing that is or is not exists without God. So this is the basis for us saying God is in all things. At the level of God, there is no right or wrong. There is no bad or good. God, Father, Mother, God, gives all things unto us, the universe, all that is. So, Father, Mother, God gives us the power to create anything, is the power that we use, that we have inherited, the power that we are as created in the image of Father, Mother, God. And this was bestowed upon us that we would create, and God will keep nothing from us. If we choose to, as some would say, miscreate, we do so with the power of God. If we choose to have an experience that one might look upon and say, that is awful, that is tragic, that is traumatic, we create this experience for ourselves by the power of God. In this way, God is in all things. We are choosing our experiences moment by moment, day by day, concept by concept, belief by belief, on and on and on. Through our choices, our interpretations, our perceptions, our desire for, I don't want to say growth, I want to say journey in a certain direction. And this doesn't necessarily mean a physical path. It means an evolution of sense, of sorts. Based on that, God withholds nothing from us. Whatever experience we choose to bring to ourselves, to manifest through creation, God will not withhold from us. We are wholly accountable, wholly responsible for everything that comes into our awareness. Now, the solution to this insanity is that we become aware on the human level that this is so. That I may need to take a minute, just a second. I will communicate what I'm hearing, feeling. What I'm feeling is the love for you I have is so great. You cannot comprehend. I will give you all that you ask for. I will give you all that you desire. I will give to you all things as you request. And now, that was the feeling that was coming through. And the other feeling, which is expressing as not just feeling, but information that comes through with the feelings. And it is some sadness through this love. Sadness for the choices that we make with our thoughts and our beliefs and our attention, what we give our attention to. Sadness that we choose to learn in such a way that feels so unpleasant at times, tragic at times, because God does not want us to suffer. God's will for us is bliss, is joy, is play. But, and God's will for us is all of the things that we would see as wonderful. And also all of the things that we would see as tragic. Because God gives to us all things as we ask. And so when we see something unfolding, and this is going to be very difficult for many, when we see war and we see pain and we see punishment and we see these things, we are establishing those judgments. So what that means is, I see pain, I see punishment, I see with my human eyes, my human mind, I perceive of these things. When the truth at that level of truth, which is divine, is what you're really seeing is an experience that was requested by the one having it. In that is God, because God gives all things. Does God want us to suffer? Absolutely not. But God knows nothing of suffering. At the level of God, at the level of truth, we're playing in a sandbox. We are simply playing in a sandbox. And no harm can ever truly come to us because we are not the body. We are not the human mind. We are not the things that we see with the human eyes. Nothing we see with the human eyes is real. At the level of truth. How do we know this? Because matter isn't solid. Particles are vibrating at different speeds, some slower, some faster. The slower the vibration, the more solid it appears to be. This is the truth. But with my eyes, the things around me appear to be solid. They appear to be real. But it just isn't so. But that's what the human eyes see. The eyes see this. So when we say, oh, is God in? Okay, I will use some of my personal experience. I had some, what all, I'm sure, would deem as tragic events in my childhood. And trauma. And I would say, I can say God was in it. God was in it. Not just because at one time, during a moment of this traumatic experience, I had almost like a near-death experience where I went out of body and communed with the one we know of as Jesus. And before I even knew who Jesus was, it wasn't until much later that I found out who that was that I was held by while these things were happening to my body. And then looking at it later on from who I became, the path that trauma led me down, the path of recovery from that, is how I got where I am today, how I interpret the world, interpret events, interpret information. Without the trauma, I would not have gone down the path of recovery, which opened my mind enough for me to get here. God is in all of that. It was divine. The event occurred to open up a door to a path that I had to travel. So, yes, I can say that God is in all things. I can say that with great integrity. God is in all things, because no thing can be without God. Not even the dream, not even the illusion. Without the power of God, nothing would exist. Nothing. And even then, in the nothing is God. Even in the nothing, God is. The one without beginning nor end. And they say that some say that we have no beginning. But there was one before me, and I know that. So to me, that one is the one without beginning. So I will continue this book again, and I will continue listening and reading it. And if any other messages come out, I will share them. But I think that will suffice for now. But is in this clarification of the idea that God is in all things. And yes, even if a human behaves in a certain way, a human's actions lead to a certain outcome, God is in it. Because God can't be absent from anything. Nothing. As the light and the dark are both of God. Darkness is so that light can be seen. And without the darkness, the light couldn't be seen. So in the light, right? There's that story about the little light. You couldn't see the little light because the light of God was so big and so bright that the little light couldn't see itself, couldn't be seen. So it took a journey into a dark place so that it could see its light shining. You know, that's a story, and I probably did a really poor job at explaining it. But there is a small caution coming through that says, just because God is in all things doesn't mean we can justify acting in any way. Doesn't mean that we can justify killing people and being nasty and mean or abusive or on and on and on. Those actors, in other words, the people who are still behaving in that way, are not going to be listening to this video, except to belittle or condemn or crucify me. So we don't really have to be concerned about that. The ones who would listen to a talk like this and think that now they've been given permission to do anything they want in any kind of way, you know, that can't be the reason. So we can't not tell the truth. We can't not speak the word of God just because someone will use it and manipulate it and twist it. You know, I've said for a long time that when someone wants to find fault, they will find fault. If someone wants to they will find the reason that they need to justify or validate their actions. Whether it's me or someone else, it doesn't matter. If murder is in their heart, murder is in their heart. We aren't planting it there, you know? So, right, the solution. I have to get back to the solution. Thank you. The solution to suffering is not really a solution to suffering. But when I say God knows nothing of suffering, I mean, you know, the Father, the Christ knows about that in a way, having been in body, the experiences. But the solution is whenever a situation comes up, whatever it might be, is to first know that we are eternal. We have no end. Because we have no end, fear is only a concept that affects the body. Okay? The other thing is, if you're able in the moment to look at it, whatever it is, and say, I see that. I feel that. And if you don't know what to do, whether you should do something, to take a moment and ask, Father, Mother, God, wow, this feels really crappy. Is there something I need to do about this? Is there action I need to take? You know, okay, in more general terms, seek ye first the kingdom. Seek ye first the kingdom. Ask, ask, ask. Father, Mother, God, ask for guidance. Ask. Having said that, in order for that to work, asking for guidance, asking for discernment, interpretation, asking for Christ vision, or to see as God sees, we really have to mean it. We really have to be willing to let go of our human investment in whatever it is. We have to truly be willing to say, I let go and let God. I let go of my attachment to this thing, this idea, this concept, this situation. I let go of my attachment to it, and only through acceptance and releasing it, or not being attached to it, can we come out of our human small self, personality self drive into a space where we can be guided and we can actually hear the message from God, the still small voice. It cannot be heard over top of the loud, what people call the ego, the personality self, mind. So when you're asking for guidance, make sure that you truly want the guidance. And to truly want the guidance, you have to be willing to give up or let go of sacrifice. The only sacrifice that that is worth anything. Sacrifice your thoughts and ideas about it, your feelings about it. Let them go. Give them, put them on the altar. Let that be your sacrifice and say, here, Father, here is my fear. Here is, or Mother, however you see it, here is my fear. Here is my pain. Here is my struggle. I give it to you that you might give me clarity, that I can feel the peace that you tell me is mine. I give you these things so that I might have the gifts that you give me. Because, again, God gives all things. So if we're choosing our fear, if we are choosing our struggle, if we are choosing our pain over the gifts of God, we're not making room for the gifts of God to come in. We must give them away to God, that God can give us the divine gifts, which all of us really want at the highest level. But we have to be willing to let go of the human stuff, which sometimes is intellect. Sometimes the intellect is one of the biggest hindrances. That's all for now. In peace and love, may you be blessed.